Welcome back to the Less Insurance Dependence Podcast. I'm your host, Don Adeesha. It's great to have you here. Today, we're talking about a part of marketing that often gets overlooked: conversion. A lot of dental practices focus heavily on getting more traffic, more clicks, more people to the website. But the real question is, once those people find you, are they actually taking the next step? Are they calling? Are they scheduling? Are they becoming the kind of patients your practice wants more of? So today, I'm joined by Naren Arulrajah, founder and CEO of Ekwa Marketing, to talk about what helps turn online traffic into non-insurance driven patients, why call handling matters just as much as marketing, and where many practices may be losing good patient opportunities without realizing it. Naren, welcome back to the show.
This is going to be a wonderful conversation, Don. I'm looking forward to it. What conversion tactics help turn online traffic into non-insurance patients? And the reason I'm really excited about this is, just like dentistry is this huge science and people have, mastered it. I have friends who have mastered it for 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 40 years. You can master marketing, and there are some fundamentals. And of course, thinking about conversion, what is conversion? Conversion is when somebody takes one step, what percentage of them go on to the next step? Like, for example, if somebody goes to your website and they leave, they're not converting, versus they go to a second page, they are starting to convert. They go to the contact us page, they're starting to convert. They call your phone, they are converting even further. So you want to make sure every one of these steps are optimized. And there are a lot of blocks that can stop you from doing really well. So, I'm really glad we're going to talk about those blocks, those conversion traps or conversion challenges, and then hopefully you can overcome them after this episode.
One of the biggest conversion challenges there are is that practices often think that they need more traffic. But is traffic really the main issue when they're trying to attract more non-insurance patients?
That's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful question. Practices often think they need more traffic, but traffic is not the main issue. And let me kind of explain what I mean by that. Traffic is important. Again, I want quality traffic. So the way I measure traffic is what percentage of your people are finding you through sources like Google because they are quality traffic. They typed in dentist near me. They typed in dental implants. So two things I look at when it comes to quality of traffic is how many keywords and phrases that I care about for the services I do am I showing up for at the top of Google, meaning top 10. And when I say Google today, it means Google SEO, Google Maps, Google AI Overview. By the way, Google said 2.5 billion people use AI Overview. That's 3 times as many as ChatGPT every single month. Now, of course, ChatGPT is not just used for search, it's used for, reading a document, summarizing it. So definitely Google's AI overview numbers are, I would say, 6-7 times bigger than their next competitor. So Google AI overview also comes into the Google Analytics report. And then finally, Google AI mode. So doesn't matter which way people are finding you, Google still controls 95% of the market. Where do you stand? Are you getting quality traffic? How many keywords are you showing up for? And how many people are finding you through Google? And many of our clients are seen 30, 40,000 times, some even 60,000 times. Of course, when they start with us, they're seen like 0 times or 100 times. And then slowly but surely, when you work on it, it compounds. It doesn't grow like 10%, 20%. It goes from 300 to 20,000. So it literally goes up 70x, 7,000%. So look for the quality and the quantity of traffic. So that's something I would look at. And then the other thing I would look at is, especially if you want to really get patients who are not asking the question, is it covered by insurance? Because they are coming to you regardless. They're just coming to you because it's free dentistry in their mind. So if you want to attract those high value, high margin patients who are going to do bigger cases, who are going to accept treatment, who are going to invest in their dentistry, then I think I also would look at things like reputation. Are you getting 10 or more 5-star reviews every single month on Google? I would look at, if you want to grow, let's say, Invisalign part of your practice, do you have a wonderful landing page that is showing up on Google like we talked about, but more importantly, has the evidence to convince them that you are the right choice? Those full face after pictures, the transformations. So you want to make sure that you're also growing their confidence. You want to make sure people trust you. That's where the Google reviews come in. Another way to earn trust is awards. So if you have won any awards, highlight it on your homepage. We have done studies and we know people who have won awards tend to convert sometimes 50% more than people who have not. Just that award being featured, people trust you implicitly. So I guess if I were to leave you with one thought, it's not about how many people are coming to you. Yes, that's important. We talked about it, the quality and the quantity of traffic and where it's coming from. But more importantly, are you attracting the right patients for the right stuff? Are you growing their confidence? Are you showcasing your reputation? So these are all important factors when you look at how to grow your practice.
Right. Now you have attracted the right patient, the right traffic. Now the next part of the problem is calls. So why does call handling matter just as much as the marketing itself?
Yeah. Number one, people today, at least when it comes to dentistry, book their first appointment after making a phone call. At least 85-90% of the people. Why is that? Just like your relationship with your primary care doctor is important, so is a dental relationship. I think most people, especially I would say the millennials and even the older generation, especially after COVID, know the importance of dentistry. Of course, there are some people who don't go to a dentist either for money or for pain, so I'm not talking about those people. I'm talking about the others who do value dentistry. So the reason they call is they want to make sure they made the right decision. They don't want to waste their time, book an appointment, come there and find out it's the wrong dentist. So they're calling to reaffirm everything they saw on Google, everything they saw on your Google reviews, everything they learned about from your website. They want to make sure these are for real. They want to make sure they didn't miss anything. So they're calling for that final check. So a lot of the way that people are looking at the call is, it's a validation. It's a validation that I made the right call, assuming you have world-class marketing, some of the things I alluded to already. So if that is not happening, if that validation is not happening, the average dental patient is only booking 1 out of 3 new patient appointments. In other words, you're getting 100 new patients calling your office. If you are an average practice, you're only booking 1 out of 3. 2 problems with that. One is 2/3 of everything you did, the reviews, the reputation, the before and afters, the SEO, is getting wasted. So imagine, if you're spending $100,000, $66,000 is getting wasted because of this. The second implication is those people who don't book never ever show up again. They literally write you off. And some maybe got annoyed at what happened or did not happen. Maybe the phone was not answered or the person was rude or whatever. They might even write a nasty review for you. So instead of it helping, it starts hurting you. So for those 2 reasons, I would really, really lean into, call handling and really master it. And I've seen it, firsthand. See, marketing and new patients are cousins. They are not siblings. What I mean is, you can't just say just because, marketing is working, you will get new patients. You still need to do the things that are important to new patient conversion. And one of those things, the most important of those things, is how the phone is being handled. So I think focusing on it, you need to know what your conversion rate is. You need to know, how many calls are getting missed. You need to know how many new calls are coming in every month from new patients. So these 3 things, number of new patient calls I'm getting, what percentage of them are booking, and what percentage of calls I'm missing, is important, because you don't want to increase more new patients finding you if you are not good at, the call piece. Why? You're going to waste a lot of that. So fixing it and then keeping it fixed. For me, the benchmark is 70% of new patients should be booking appointments, and 95% of all calls should be answered during working hours. So if you're hitting those benchmarks, keep doing it. But if you're not, I would invest in that early in the cycle, because that way every marketing dollar is now amplified. Because imagine 70% conversion versus 25%. That's a 3x amplification. You're getting 3 times the benefit with the same marketing.
Right. So before they call the office and make that validation, seeing your website, your Google business profile really match up with the tone of your own practice, there's that moment where we're looking at that book now button. So, what makes a strong call to action like that book now button for dental practice, especially if the goal is to attract better fit patients?
You're bringing up an excellent point. Book Now button has become famous or popular in the recent while. I've seen many of our clients putting it on. But when we actually clicked on it, with the client and showed them what was going on, our clients cringed and immediately they took it off. So imagine somebody is so excited and for some reason they click on the book now. But the book now, a lot of times doesn't even work. I mean, it's just literally doesn't work. And nobody's checking, nobody's on top of it. That's one issue. Second is, put yourself in the shoes of the customer, right? Would I go and share personal information with someone I don't know, like, or trust yet? They don't know you. You're not their dentist. They have zero relationship and you're asking for their social insurance, you're asking for, all kinds of information. So it's two things. One is the amount of pain, how many questions are being asked. And the second thing is the intrusion of that pain. Asking for something very personal makes me less likely to fill it out than not, right? So one of the things I noticed is many people are clicking, but only like 5% are booking. So we are like literally bring our best quality patients, bringing them to the front door, and then we keep this huge, scary looking bulldog at the front, and everybody walks away. Everybody walks away. And that, unfortunately, that book now that should have been a friendly way to roll the red carpet is turning into a nightmare. So you really, really, really need to click on it. You really need to ask the question, would I go through with this? And not just do it once, but do it again. Is it working? Is it working on different devices? Sometimes it works on a desktop, but it doesn't work on a mobile. Sometimes it works on an iPhone. Sometimes it doesn't work on there's all kinds of issues. And the unfortunate thing is these companies that are building these technologies don't care about how many new patients are booking and not booking. So they don't even share with you stats on how many people clicked, how many people, went to the first page and, how many people ended up booking. Why? They don't want to tell their weaknesses. So you work so hard to get people to show up. And then because of this book now button, 80% of them are getting lost in the ether. So I would not put a book now button unless I'm exceptionally sure that it's working, it's simple. It should be less than, 2 minutes. It shouldn't have any intrusive questions. It should make it super easy. Why? Because we know the more intrusive and the longer the question is, people don't complete it. It should work in every platform. It should load up fast. It should be friendly and welcoming. So all these attributes, unfortunately, they don't have it. I've looked at many, and it's a nightmare. So really, really make sure if you're going to put that book now button, it is amazing, or it's going to be part of the solution versus it is the problem.
Right. Now, another problem that you mentioned earlier that can show up is answering the phone 90% of the time or more, especially during working hours. Now, a lot of practices are looking at AI receptionists and automated tools right now to handle that problem. Where can those tools go wrong with new patients?
You bring up an excellent question, right? I think trust is probably the most important thing in healthcare. It's kind of like a great lawyer you love and a great doctor you love. If you don't trust those people, you're not going to work. So people are not stupid. So when they're screening you for trust. The problem with AI receptionist right off the bat is it's telling them you are not important enough for me to answer the call myself or have someone in my team who I have trained and who knows who we are and what we do to answer the call. So I really think that's where it starts. The second they discover, and of course, legally you have to disclose it's an AI versus a human. The second they discover that, I think they get turned off. It's kind of like, you are going to somebody's house and instead of the host or the person you're going to see coming and greeting you at the door, they send a servant. And they're like, oh, he's busy for the next 30 minutes. You need to sit here. Like immediately, doesn't matter how beautiful the house is, doesn't matter how wonderful it is, you get turned off. You're like, you don't think, I value your time and I showed up at the time you told me and I'm here. You don't think I'm worthwhile for you to show up and greet me and welcome me? Like immediately you're turned off. Like, I mean, what's the word, right? We treat those who treat us well the same way we were treated. So immediately they're negative. Immediately they are like, oh, turned off. So I really think for that reason, at least for new patients, I wouldn't use it. I think AI has a role, especially in bookings, because it can have a conversation about, hey, you missed your last appointment. We want to rebook you because, we know that if you don't do XYZ, your gum disease could get worse. So, my doctor told me to rebook you. So AI is now capable of having those kind of conversations. It could be a text conversation. That way, I think the laws are different, the rules are different, and I think text is impersonal anyway. So I don't think people really care whether it's AI or whatever. And it's fulfilling a function, a low end function. It's not about building trust. It's not about any of that. They already have the trust with your practice. So in those cases, I would use an AI text-based, rebooking tool that's smart, that's intelligent versus, 3 p.m. on Saturday such and such a day, yes or no? Like that's stupid, right? Because what if the 3 p.m. is not available? So you want to have conversations. So I think I would use AI where possible, but I'll only use it where it doesn't take away from the experience. And I think for a lot of dental practices, because you can't compete with the body shops of dentistry. I mean, like the ones with 300 locations, the 400 locations where you are a number on price, because of course they're going to get the best deals, but definitely you can compete on relationships. So I think AI receptionists will take away that relationship side of why people love you and why people come to you. So I really would stay away when it comes to new patients, but I would use it for things like rebookings and so forth.
Now, in this journey of trust, Naren, if a practice owner wants to improve their conversion, where should they start first?
Yeah, I think start by looking at the full patient, journey. So are you showing up on Google for the things that you care about, the services that you care about? Are you showing up 10, 20 times for each type of service? How do you know this? Use Google Analytics. Don't go and manually type it in because won't give you a full picture. And if you type in dental implant and you're seeing 30 different keywords or even 20 different keywords that are showing up in the top 10 results related to dental implants, you know what? Now people are finding you for dental implants. Same thing for Invisalign, same thing for sedation, whatever that you care about, or even emergency. So for those groups of those things you care about, are you showing up for 20 to 30 different keywords? So that's point number one. Then we talked about all the things that are hurting you, like the book now button that turns people off, get rid of it. If your website doesn't load fast enough or doesn't work on every device, drop it. Google provides you tools like, Google Lighthouse, Google CRUX tool, all kinds of tools to look at the customer experience and tell you, yes, this website is doing all the things it's supposed to or not. So if Google is giving you a low score, fix it. Now it's a lot of work. That's why we have an army of people, around 300 people working on this day and night, working on all parts of this entire patient journey. But someone's got to do it. So that's where I would start. Then look at the conversion rate, like we talked about, right? The number of new patients who are calling, number of them booking, number of them not booking, that's the conversion rate, the percent who book. How many calls are not getting answered during office hours, that's a percentage of missed calls. Again, you want that to be less than 5%. You want the conversion rate to be higher than 70%. And finally, look at the cost of a new patient, right? You want to know if you're driving new patients in 3 different methods, how much does that new patient call cost you? So having different tracking numbers and being able to quantify and say, okay, this patient is costing me, $70. That patient is costing me $300. So now you will put more money into the $70 patient. Why? Because you can get 3 patients for the price of 1 versus the $200 patient, right? So knowing that, those are the key things I would start with, and I would massage them. Now, of course, if you want some serious people who know what they're doing to do a comprehensive research, then book a marketing strategy meeting. Recently, I saw a Google review about how much they learned and how much they benefited from this meeting. The link is lessinsuranceDependence.com/MSM. Book that meeting and it'll help you fine tune what you're doing. It'll help you find your gaps, find the things that are holding you back. And of course, once you have the report from us, we spend 6 hours creating it, then you can decide what to do with it, whether to take action, what to fix, and so forth. But at least that 1 minute you spend booking that meeting would pay off in spades. And you have this document, you can now smartly work on the things you need to work on.
All right. Thank you, Naren Arulrajah, for this wonderful conversation. Now, for our dentists listening in, take a moment after this episode to look at your website, your calls to action, your book now button, perhaps. And really ask yourself, are we making it easy for the right patient to choose us? And if you want help answering that question, go ahead and book that complimentary marketing strategy meeting at lessinsurancedependence.com/MSM. I'm going to repeat that one more time. Lessinsurancedependence.com/MSM. Thank you for listening to the Less Insurance Dependence podcast. I'm your host, Don Adeesha, and we'll see you on the next one. Take care.